have Retroid done it again. They have put power and affordability into a device that is almost flawless. Let's have a look. So we're going to look at the device from that perspective. Like, this is definitely very different to the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, and a lot of people are sort of upset about that. But there's things that have developed in the scene that really prove that this is the future. Like, things are changing, and they're changing for the good. We are seeing movement in the market, and that's exciting. And speaking of new technology, I want to talk about PCBware. They are an online ordering system where you can order custom PCBs, you can do CNC milling, you can do 3D printing, and a bunch of other things. They have a help facility on their website, so if you are struggling on how to set up your order or your quotation, they are there to help you. The thing that I really like about them is they have a community page where you can go on and look for projects to do. If you want to build a gaming console, there are projects on there that you can copy. You can go see what the guys have done and make it yourself. And once you've decided what you want to do, you put all the specs together, you send it off to PCBware, and they will be able to make all those parts for you. So for your next big project like that, think of PCBware. So let's first talk about the screen, because it is this beautiful AMOLED screen that just pops out of the screen. When I did the Retroid Pocket Mini review, I don't remember going too crazy about the screen, even though it is a lovely screen. It's an AMOLED screen, but it's a small screen. This is a big 5.5-inch AMOLED screen, and it really is special. The Retroid Pocket 4, I wrote down here, is a 4.7-inch 750p screen. That's an LED screen. And I mean, it was great. Like, I spoke about how I felt like they were trying to tweak it and make it as close to OLED as possible, but obviously you can't do that. But that was 4.7 inches. The Adin 2 Mini, which is my daily driver, is a 5-inch mini LED screen. And we spoke about in the review how there are some issues with the screen in terms of that halation, it's vignetting, like it has this gradient on the screen that you kind of get used to, and I do enjoy. I mean, I love watching YouTube on here, I love streaming games on here, but it's not without its issues. Now, the Adin 2 Mini is a 5-inch, the Retroid Pocket 5 is a 5.5-inch. I must be honest, in real life, I didn't notice that this was a lot bigger. In terms of my experience, I've been streaming my Steam games to this, and it did feel nicer, and it does really look great on the screen. I think I was so distracted by the AMOLED, I didn't realize it was also bigger. So a lovely big AMOLED screen, but in real life, I still prefer streaming on this because my joystick is up on top, and these joysticks are floppier. At this price point, to have this sort of beautiful screen, this is a real treat. It is just a treat to have this screen on this device at this price point. And I think Retroid knows it. I think that they know that they are spoiling us. So brightness and darkness, I'm just going to talk you through it. In terms of the darkness, I would say I did stream in bed last night and in pitch black. I was streaming my Steam games on here, and just like the Adin 2 Mini, just like the Retroid Pocket Mini, that final little, like when you swipe down and control this, that very last little bit, the backlightness of the screen, or however it works, it finally switches off the backlit part of the pixels. The problem is when you're in a very dark room, it's those last few sort of 2 millimeters of that slider that you actually need to wiggle to get it perfect for a low lit room. Because that is off, like you probably can't see that on the screen. But even in a dark room, that's too dark. So I wanted it just one notch up, and it was quite difficult to get it there. I'm going to quickly go outside and film bright light. It is light outside, so I'm going to quickly do that. We're in luck because it is very bright today. There, you can see my reflection on the screen, but you can see the video playing there very clearly. The previous video I did another device, you couldn't see anything really on the phone, but I could still see it in real life, which tells you that this is actually like you can play this in bright sunlight and you can see it very clearly, like no issues. You won't be like, oh, it's too dim. You can see everything very clearly right here in direct sunlight. And then a little benefit to having the black one is because OLED blacks out black sections, just switches the screen off so it goes completely black. It doesn't look like I have bezels with this retro game. That's a little benefit of going with the black color option. Design. People have shown concern that this is very different to the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. You know, it's got the bulges on the back, the all-glass front panel, and there's no transparent colors. I have ordered a transparent back to put on here. We'll have a look at that, but yeah, you can't buy one with these fun transparent colors that came with the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. And I must say, if you are a huge fan of this, go buy one, because it's gone on special, which to me says they're going to discontinue these. And this really is a special device. It still holds a special place in my heart. If you were a big fan of this and you're worried that they're going to go out of stock, get one now. But yes, this is indeed a huge step away from the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. And for good reason. This is a new era in affordable Android gaming. You've got a beautiful design. Some would say a slightly generic design, but with the color options, you can get the very sort of generic smart choice with the black, or you can go with some of the more creative, fun color options like the GameCube color option. But also, we've got this fairly powerful Snapdragon chipset in here. This really does usher in a new era for Android gaming. Affordability with lots of power, and it just looks beautiful. You can't tell me that this is an ugly device. So, just forget the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro for a second. Forget that they've moved away from this sort of, you can buy a grip or you can have it, I still like this candy bar shape. It's very pocketable. But just forget that this exists for a second. We've got beautiful pocketable ergonomics with the bulges on the back. We've got this lovely all-glass front display. We've got a slightly more smart design and a more comfy design with the round sides. You've got these little plastic accents here on the front, which the Retroid Pocket Mini doesn't have. But then you've got the same lovely controls, the same great joysticks, the same great D-pad, the same great buttons. Action buttons are a bit clackety, but like it or lump it, they are great controls. Breaking away from the design language of the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, this thing is pretty much flawless. Okay, let's talk about the hardware for a second. I'm going to do a little weight comparison. The Retroid Pocket 4 Pro came in at 272 grams. This is 271. I was going to say it feels lighter, 271.5 grams, so very slightly lighter than the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. The Adin 2 Mini is 339 grams. It feels heavier. It's kind of why I like it. I love the shape, design, and feeling that this thing has in hand. Like I mentioned, the buttons are very clackety. These buttons are switchable. So if you want to go with the retro style of A, B, X, Y this way, you can go with that, or you can switch it around. So they are switchable if you'd like that, but you are stuck with the D-pad on top. So if you don't like that, sorry. Some people have complained about the LEDs on the joysticks. To that, I just said, switch them off. A person was like, yeah, but then it's got the gray section, because if you switch it off, it's got that white plastic there. That really is being nitpicky. What I will say, these are slightly stiffer. If I go with the Adin 2 Mini, these are very floppy. If I go with the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, very floppy. These, I'm pretty sure, are identical joysticks. With these LEDs, I noticed it on the Retroid Pocket Mini, they are slightly stiffer. And I am noticing with streaming, these are feeling a little bit more snappy, which I'm not a huge fan of. And then obviously the front panel, someone did ask me, and I just said, wiping it down is pretty easy, but this bigger panel is more noticeable. It's a huge fingerprint magnet. So just keep a microfiber cloth handy, give it a wipe down every 20 seconds. Shake test. Oh, that's me pressing a button. Hang on. Silent. I mean, there's no shaking here. And then audio, it's not going to translate here. Because the audio is so good on here, you're not going to notice a difference unless I put this against one of the cheap Linux devices. What I will say is I've got a fairly crappy Samsung A24, and that's where I watch all my content. When I'm having lunch, I'll sit and watch a YouTube video or whatever. I did that today, having lunch, put this on, watched a video, and I didn't notice a difference. If anything, it felt better because it's front-facing speakers. The Odin 2 Mini, I can't really hear a difference. They both are very, very good quality audio. I mean, you can't play music on them, but it is very good. For some reason, my post about the battery life, saying that the battery life is very good, got met with some really nasty comments. And I'm going to do a full battery test for my full review because I'm noticing the battery life feeling really good. Like, for instance, the RG406V, I just did a video about that. The battery is feeling a lot better on here, and I think it has to do with that AMOLED screen. I was testing it, putting games on, playing games, putting Spotify on, doing all sorts of things, and then I got to making dinner in the evening and it was only 60%. It charged a little bit when I was transferring files, but it really did feel like it was just lasting forever. I played some streaming on it last night in bed, and I put it in my drawer and powered it down. It was dead, so I'm not sure if maybe Steam Link was still connected. I'm going to do a full battery test and give my results because I haven't done that in a while. So let's compare Ergamalomics to the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. We've got the bulges on the back. We've got the rounded material. This also is very round, and the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro was a bit thicker than the Retroid Pocket 3 and the 3 Plus, which made it more ergonomic. It still feels great in the hand. It's a similar grip. You hold them like this. This one is wider this way. The Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is wider this way, which gives you more of a purchase on the sides, much like the Odin 2 Mini, which gives you that sort of PS Vita wraparound grip, which is just delightful. This definitely feels different because it is shorter this way. So when I hold it like this, getting your fingers to the buttons feels kind of weird. How I end up holding it is my two fingers end up going around the bulge like this. So I end up holding it like this, and then my fingers go here for shoulder buttons, and my thumbs are free to use the buttons. In terms of ergonomics, that feels really nice. This feels great in the hand because it is bigger, but there's nothing to grip here. Whereas here, so definitely the butt, the bulge, helps and makes it more comfy to hold. That was a very long conversation about grip. If you like a light device, 0.5 grams lighter, then this is the one for you. I'm talking mostly about the Odin 2 Mini and more expensive devices like the Odin 2. This is definitely the device for you because it is so light. The buttons are a compromise because you've got that vertical extension. They are very slightly inward from the button, the D-pad and the action buttons, these joysticks. So very slightly inward, but mostly it's right below it. So it's not super ergonomic in terms of the button layouts, but that's a compromise for pocketability, which brings me up to the next one, which is crotch time. So the problem with this one is how long it is. It is pocketable because of the smooth bulges. It's easy to slide in your pocket. The Retroid Pocket 4 Pro had these bulges which tend to actually be a bit hooky. They tend to hook a little bit. Because that's the only bulge, it tends to sort of hook around a little bit. And the joysticks were protruded a little bit more, which was very annoying. I nearly lost one of these joysticks in a car park once because I had it in my pocket. I was busy preparing for a review. When I prepare for a review, I take the device with me everywhere, and I dropped this in the car park. I managed to find it. So that is annoying. Let's actually see if these pull off. No, they don't pull off, and that's a good thing, I think. They are slightly recessed, as I said in my live stream. They're slightly more recessed than these. It does stick out, but it does slide into your pockets better than the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. So the next topic I have is connection and streaming. I haven't tested controllers yet, and I won't do that in this video. But what I will talk about is streaming because I've done a lot of that already. Every single day that I've had this, I have done streaming. What I do is I set up my Steam Deck and I connect it to the Ethernet, and then I connect via 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi in my bed, and I play a game. At the moment, I'm trying to finish The Walking Dead so that I can move on to the next game that I want to play. I am seeing flawless streaming performance, which is saying a lot because I have used other devices that claim to have Wi-Fi 6. This performs better. It performs flawlessly. I was under the impression because this has Wi-Fi 7, whatever that means, I don't actually know what it means. This is Wi-Fi 7, and it's the first device that I can properly stream on. Then this came along, and it works perfectly. So whatever it is, whatever they've done, it works really, really well. They do have dual WLAN acceleration, which connects to both Wi-Fi signals, so 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz, and then chooses whichever one is most efficient in that moment. It might improve it. It might actually make it worse if it's switching between those two while you're trying to play. I just leave it on the 5 gigahertz. And it's been pretty much flawless. The only thing, again, and I have mentioned this a few times already in the video, is the controller layouts, the fact that we've got the squished thing, the fact that we've got the buttons so close to each other, and the D-pad up top. If you are playing a modern game on your Steam Deck, Xbox, or PC, and then you want to stream later on this, it is going to feel weird. And if you are playing something that's intense, like for instance, I'm playing The Walking Dead, which is not intense, but if I was playing Fallout 4 or whatever, and I'm in the middle of trying to defeat some big monster, that might actually annoy me. And then I want to talk about setup, because there's one YouTuber who always says Retroids are very easy to set up. And I want to say, like, categorically say no Android device. I don't want to slam Retroid now, because every single Android device is a mission to set up. Actually, Anbernic are the ones who have made it fairly easy, slightly sketchy because they provide you with ROMs, but you just press a button and it goes. So Anbernic have remedied that. Retroid, not so much. It is good, but not flawless. So what I did is I downloaded or added all the emulators that they have pre-selected and pre-set up. And then you have to set it up on their front end. And it's not that easy. You've got to scan your ROM still, and there's certain features that you must not use because it's going to maybe mess things up for you. So I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty in this video. I'll get into it in the next video, because hopefully their new front end will be available and I can rather review it on that and see if that is easier. But it's not super easy to set up, but it's worth the journey. If you're going to tweak all the emulators anyway and you have to set up the Retroid launcher, it's a bit of a mission. Rather just follow one of our reviewers, YouTube reviewers. I know Retro Game Core loves Emulation Station, ESDE, and he has a guide on how to set that up. I know TechDweeb loves Dig, and he does have a video on how to set up Dig as your front end. I personally enjoy Show, and I have a video with the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro on how to set that up. Rather go through that. My video is 2 hours long, but you select pieces and you go through and set it up the way you want it to be set up. Okay, let's move on. Now, here is where I am excited, because this does usher in the next era of emulation. The Adin 2 was great. Everybody loved the Adin 2. Very niche in the greater scheme of things. This device is pushing us more into the mainstream. That is why we are having some pretty serious issues with Nintendo getting even more litigious than they have in the past and being quite nasty, because this is getting quite mainstream. This device is going to be very popular. It's going to sell really well. And what it's doing is pushing development of emulators further. I think it is going to put pressure on Valve to get an Android Steam thing going. Imagine if we could play the Steam game that I'm busy playing on here when I go and I don't want to take my Steam Deck. So imagine, that would be great. I digress. What I want to talk about was the development of emulators. We have Cemu, that I think it's a fork that someone's developed of Cemu for Android, and it's way better than it was a few months ago. It's way easier to set up now, and I will include that in my full review. Wii U on Cemu is looking really good. Played around with a few PS2 games, and I was seeing really good performance. So at one of the Madden, the American football games, that always struggles to emulate, and it played like it takes a little while to load, but it plays fine. So nice graphics. Obviously the screen is great. What I did want to check was, I've got the Retroid Pocket Mini here with me, and I've got another SX2 there. So what I want to check is, I'll put it on the screen now, the Retroid Pocket 5 has more RAM than the Retroid Pocket Mini. So I'm going to start Madden NFL 2005 on PS2, because I'm pretty sure the reason it struggles to load is CPU and RAM. So I'm just going to tap on them both at the same time. The main thing is to see if it stutters on here and whether it stutters on here. So let's just see. Okay, so they're loading at the same speed. I think the other area where we're also going to see the difference with the RAM is with Android games and just higher end gaming in general. I'm seeing audio stutter on here and no audio stutter on here. So this is seamless gameplay on Madden 2015. This is not seamless gameplay. So interesting. The RAM definitely is going to affect you.
Eventually, the rhythm is going to get you.
In the short term, obviously, this is a smaller device, so look how cool this looks. Okay, I've stretched the screen, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I am a savage. But look at that. It's perfect for PS2, like a little mini PS2 device. I'm getting sidetracked. I'm a realist. Like, is stretching this across the screen ruining the game? No. Some of the people just look a little bit chubbier. That's about it. But it really does look great on the screen. And then to mention Turnip drivers, because we now have a Snapdragon chipset, we can use Turnip drivers or the Mesa drivers or whatever. So they're custom drivers for the different emulators and for whatever you are running. We've got Turnip drivers for the Dolphin emulator, the Cemu emulator, the Lime 3DS emulator, and the Vita 3K emulator. And I haven't even touched on Vita 3K. Mortal Kombat is going to look absolutely stunning on here. I can't wait to get Limbo working on here. A really beautiful game that was cool on the Retroid Pocket Mini, but on this big screen is going to be spectacular. Lastly, let's talk about the value proposition. What I really want to talk about is the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro versus the Retroid Pocket 5 versus the Adin 2 Mini, because the more I use this, the more I compare it to the Adin 2 Mini, and I think my final review will rely heavily on that comparison. But this now, the Pro is going for $185 marked down, and the normal version is $135. That is the deal right now. It's only $35 more than the Retroid Pocket 2S. If you have been wanting this, you like the design, there's a color you have your heart set on, I think you might need to buy it now, because it looks, to me, with it being marked down, that they are trying to sell them off because they're going to discontinue this one. And this still is very special to me. And $185 for the Pro version is great, but for a little bit more, $219. So I think the normal version of this, the Retroid Pocket 4, is a good deal right now. But versus the Pro, this is $219. The Pro is on sale now for $185. You get this. It's way more powerful. It's a beautiful device, and you're getting that stunning AMOLED screen. Now, the big boy, if we compare this to the Adin 2 Mini, and in my review, I said, are you willing to pay a premium for aesthetics and power? In this comparison, the power isn't as much of a factor because it's not that much more powerful. So are you willing to pay over $100 extra for it being really pretty, slightly better made, and it feels really good in the hand? Are you willing to pay that premium? I think most of you will say no. The screen is arguably better. It's bigger, and it doesn't have that gradation, that's vignetting. So I personally think Retroid have done it again. They've put power and affordability into a device and definitely ushered us into the next era of Android gaming.